Hi, welcome to How to Repair. Well, I've been here for a couple of days doing the repair on the drive boot. We'll see how that goes in another video, if it holds up and keeps the grease in. I'm down at Skellig Head really, and I'm taking the Skellig route around the coast on the Wild Atlantic Way. This is the fourth video. We're going to be heading up to Valentia Island, which is about 34 minutes away. It's a dry day today, but it's blowing a hoolie. So I've got to watch the wind with the van because it's quite a high top vehicle. And it's also told me along the route, using AI to assist me, that there are some places this van may have trouble. We're heading all the way round to Dingle. So I've got to try and turn around here somehow. I didn't realise I took a walk up the lane this morning and there's no turning spot. So it's going to be a 16-point turn, I suppose. Anyway, let's jump in the vehicle and get going. Right. Make sure I don't wipe out the farmer's fence. I put my wheels on the grass because that would cause me a problem. As you can see, the sea today has beefed up a little bit and we are clear. Now, as we go round this corner, you will see a stunning headland. I do like these coastal routes, but you can definitely feel the breeze on the van. Now, we've got approximately 34 minutes to go to the island. And I think it's going to be a lovely drive. I'm really interested to see how this bicycle patch, now I did some research on this and some people had had success, but the hole is right at the bottom of the ribs, and that's why I put my Sikaflex on there to see if it holds, or the T-Rex. I mean, Sikaflex, T-Rex can all be used for that purpose, and it had a good 36 hours to cure as well. So that will be a very interesting fact to find out if it holds. There's no noises coming from that area, so that's all good news. Anyway, let's put some music on and let you enjoy.
You're tuned into the How to Repair radio show. If you're enjoying the drive on this road to repair, hit that subscribe button to join the journey.
Now this is where I really do regret losing the bottom half of my mirror. But surf's up, fellas. Oh yeah, there's some good surf there. But I definitely imagine that water is seriously cold. I did put my foot in the other day and it came straight out. But the locals were all swimming and the kids were loving the good weather. But definitely not for me. I don't know what it is with Ireland and flags. Every area you go to, they're always flying flags. They've got flags out the car window. I think they just like promoting their area. There might be a reason behind it, but I don't know what it is. Really lucky that the camera can't smell things. I think that'll be the next thing that comes out with technology, because the agricultural silage smell at the moment is a bit ripe. I wanted to take this coastal road on the next left, so the sign shows the Wild Atlantic Way, so predominantly that usually means it's okay for campers unless restrictions are put up on there. So I am definitely going to have a go at this. I do know it's a pretty wild coastal road. I think we've got about 8 kilometers of this and we're back to a single lane, so we'll see how we get on. Just letting this car pass. Always acknowledge, you know, that's the one thing I love about Britain and Ireland much more than I do when I'm in Europe. Apart from the international truck drivers, if you let someone in and flash them in when they're overtaking on dual carriageways or motorways, they are courteous with the lorry drivers. But the cars over here and the people over here always give you acknowledgement for pulling over, and in Europe that's something, you know, you could pull over for someone and you wouldn't get any acknowledgement for the courtesy that you gave them. But that's just the way the rest of Europe is. As you can see, everyone is getting windswept today. It must be very hard to live here in the winter, because this is a summer's day. The temperature has severely dropped now. It's really comfortable. Actually, I had to stick a duvet on the bed last night because it had got that cold. A few more flags. Now this is a tight corner coming up, according to the map. So it'll definitely be my first test. No cars coming, so I've got the whole road. No problems at all. Looked a lot sharper on the map than it was. The great thing about the temperature dropping, I don't really have to worry too much about engine temperature today. The fans are still not working. I did have a look at them while I was doing the repair on the drive shaft rubber, but I can't see where I have gone wrong. Nothing looks unplugged. The only thing I can think I've done is the connection of the two wires at the bottom of the radiator. Let me let this lady through. Now, the map has just brought me, I'm going to have to go backwards again. And this is the challenges that you have when doing a road like this. I think someone has backed up at the top. A little bit concerned with this right-hand corner that's coming up. It looks exceedingly like a right angle. Second on this, because just in case there's a bit of a rise, I do not want to be wheel spinning. many of them. That's a lot of stress on the vehicle. Yeah, we might have to pull over at some point to let the engine cool. Not even going to try getting into second gear. I think I'm going to pull over before I do this corner, because it's another sharp corner and the engine temperature is rising drastically. I'm not going to risk anything. Okay, I'll let you look at that view for 10 minutes. Just putting the hazards on. What I've done is I've just used some cabling that I had in the back because this was getting exceedingly hot, and I've wired up the fan. But I've got to start the engine before I connect it, because otherwise that will drain the battery down considerably. No, I can't do that because we're on such a steep hill. So I'm going to have to connect it up and then quickly go and start the engine. And that terminal doesn't want to go on there, Tidy. Okay, now I just need to put the mirror out. As a matter of fact, I'll do that from in here once this car's gone, because I can keep my foot on the brake because we are on a heck of a slope. All the fun of camper vanning. Nothing coming up. Okay, let's hope she pulls off reasonably well, and we're away. Oh, come on. Come on, get over. And what I'll be doing is, if I come to a hill like this, I can just connect it up quickly and disconnect it when I'm going downhill and on the flat. I mean, that's the first time I've had a problem with the cooling. Shall we say it's a bit steeper than I anticipated. But the temperature's staying low now. I only have to crawl over this spot, making sure the wheels don't spin because I am dragging 5 ton. But that temperature now is staying right down. So that's another problem out of the way. I've got emergency cooling. And was the view worth it? That is the question. So I'm pulling over so I can disconnect the fan system. Making sure the handbrake's on. And another problem sorted. I just need to make sure this wire is tucked away so it can't short on anything. And that will be all right there. But that is a cracking view. Anyway, we have lost an hour or so due to the fact that it's shall we say, taken up a little bit too much time, so I might have to replan routes and everything. I think you've seen so many views now and you're quite content. And the weather is coming in as well. I can see large cloud mass, so I am going to push on out to, I think it's called, let me have a look. Valentia Island, if I pronounced it correctly. Let's have a wander down here. And I'm glad the engine is holding temperature. Now, what people have to remember when you're coming down in a large camper like this, I have no chance whatsoever of reversing up steep inclines like this, or very little. So, we've got a vehicle right down the bottom, the white one that's coming up, so I will make sure that I'm in a position where they can pass. They'll be able to see me, and if they've got sense, they will be ducking in somewhere. I think they are ducking in there. You can't beat doing some repairs on the side of a good mountain. But what a view. Worth every bit of the suffering. Now I really want to wire if I'm going to keep that fan wired the way it is, I need to create a switch inside the vehicle. That's easily enough done. I haven't got a relay with me, so it's going to have to be some type of beefy switch. Let me thank these people. There we go. I should be able to duck out now. This is why it takes you 3 hours to do 100 odd kilometers. But it's all the fun of it, and when you've got scenery like this, you don't mind. Now I am going to pull over here and give them a flash, because there's a much better place for them to pass here than down there. No, there's always one. Although the road was wide enough there, we have got a van coming. And someone is letting me out. Sunday, of course, there's loads of tourism, traffic, locals going out to get Sunday lunch, which I would quite like. Let me thank this person. Much appreciated.
Aye aye. This is the How To Repair radio show. Don't bin it, fix it, and let's get straight into the next track.
Plenty of room for me there. Kerry cliffs. Yeah. I really want to get some mileage on today, and that looks full of tourism, not my cup of tea. I'll be having a look at the cliffs of Moher, I think it is. They're meant to be the stunning ones. Well, that was an adventurous first 20 kilometres. And I must admit, I'll tell you how I plan things out. And AI knows all about me because I have written what you call a persona. Now, a persona, for those of you that don't know, oh look at that, lovely, is a bio of myself, what I do for a living, everything about me, including my age, my condition, what my business is, what vehicle I drive, which is very important because Gemini knows exactly all about me. It knows I drive a Fiat Ducato Hobby 700 and it's a 2.8 engine, and I normally have a motorbike on the back. It knows the capability of the vehicle, because it knows I've been using it for a few years now, and it knows about my trip over the Atlas Mountains and all other bits and pieces. So what I normally do is go to Google Maps and plan out my route. I then copy that route and take it into Gemini, and I say, along this route, Gemini, would you please tell me, is there any obstructions that I need to be aware of? Is there any tourist places or places of beauty which I'm missing out? Are there any historic castles or architecture, because it knows I love all that stuff, and especially lighthouses and things like that. So along my route, Gemini will actually work out everything about it, knowing the capabilities of the vehicle, knowing my capabilities as a driver, and it's very, very clever. And it did tell me there are some exceedingly steep hills en route, and it did tell me that I and the van were perfectly capable of dealing with it. And it even referenced some of the Cambria mountains that I've driven over recently to tell me it was as steep as them. So, you know, it's a very impressive tool when used correctly. It does have sometimes a tendency to hallucinate, and it has taken me in the past on some roads which I shouldn't really have gone on. Lovely little fishing village. Now, do I go out over to the island? Defibrillator, the van needed that, not me. Let me let this guy through. No, it's a chin wag. You can't beat a good chin wag on a Sunday and hold up the traffic. There you go, it's only a short chin wag. That's good news for me. I think we'll have a look at this island. Why the heck not? You just got to be impressed with the road conditions. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, a lot of Irish people have laughed at me in the pub when I have said, you know, I'm praising these roads because they don't think they're that good. But what they haven't done is have a look at some of the roads in Africa, in Britain, to be honest. The British roads are atrocious compared to these. And I'm actually not looking forward to driving on them when I get back, because it's been 7-8 months, and when I left it was like pothole heaven. Exhibition centre, film show, gift shop, restaurant, Skellig experience. Okay, I need to make a decision on which way I'm going. I think I'll just follow the wild Atlantic route to have a nose. No warnings, no anything else. It'll be perfectly fine, as they say with the last laugh. Go mal slow. Weather's coming in slowly. It did say it was just going to be windy and very little rain. And the problem being is because I have the audio connected up to the 360 camera that's up there, it's not 100% waterproof. So if you see me dashing out the van when it starts raining, that is why. I think I'm going to leave it about 50 kilometers to 100 kilometers before I check this CV boot. I am really curious if this is going to hold, because if it doesn't hold, I really need to get this changed, and I'll most probably do that in Donegal. But at least I've got a good amount of grease into it now, so I know even if the grease is leaking out, it's still got enough in it to lubricate that knuckle, because the last thing I want to do is start crunching on a knuckle, and especially on these roads. Anyway, we'll have a drive along here, leave you with some more music. Enjoy the afternoon.
You're with the How to Repair radio show, where we keep the music playing and the machines running.
Continue along this. Let this person come down. Nice fishing trip going on there. Should be getting some cod, mackerel, whatever. be honest, I think this is the limitations of what I am capable of looking at this road. Yeah, I think I might have to turn back. Wait for these people to come by. I'm not going to stop not because I don't want to, it's because of time scale to get up to Dingle. That's the problem with all these parking places. I mean, they're trying to encourage tourism, but everything in Britain and Ireland seems to be a cash trap. I mean, I was looking at Dingle, and what thoroughly annoyed me, there's only one real place according to the map system. It's €40 a night just for me to park up and have a few beers. And I think that is extortionate, especially when I do not require any services whatsoever. If I can find anywhere to park up. And then a gentleman has contacted me, and top of my head I can't remember his name, Sharon Ferry he lives at, and he's an appliance engineer since 1968. So he has got to be nearly, I would say at least 70. He's still on the tools, still doing service calls, and he's invited me up not only to have a beer, but also a look around his workshops, because he has got, I think, a 1958 Hoover twin tub where the knobs for that twin tub aren't in the conventional place which everyone remembers, which is at the back of the machine. They're on the front of the machine, and this is really an old girl. And he's got the more modern one as well, and he said he had some other appliances there, and it's all going to be, you know, fantastic people to meet. You know, not just for the scenery that I'm, you know, showing you, but for what I do for a living. And, you know, I've been trying to sort of work with a few people at the moment with regards creating a British museum with white goods. And when I say white goods, the washing machines from the twin tub era all the way through to the early automatics of their Hoover A3 series, the Hotpoint 18 series, up to the 9.5 series, and the junk they sell today, which wouldn't be worth putting in a museum. There seems to be millions of them going to the landfill. But it's also going to be very good to put some of the great British cookers we had. And you must remember, Britain used to have the Belling Compact 4, the Tricity Tiara, the Tricity President, the Creda Carefree, the Creda Horizon 22. These are just a few off the top of my head, and I've most probably missed out on the Hallmark, which used to have an oven at the top with a rotisserie. I forgot about that girl. So many fantastic things. You know, what a nice park up that would have been. Yeah, I could definitely stay there the night. I think the traffic would annoy me though. Now, I've only actually had one night out with some drinks. I was hoping to get to Dingle on Friday or Saturday, but the rain came in. And as I'd done some research on how beautiful this road all the way through is, I didn't want to film it in the typical YouTube video that I see out there, which is tipping down with rain, horrid, low clouds, mist. So I thought I'm going to wait for a couple of days for the weather to change. I had a lot of editing to do on the previous videos to make them worthy for you. Some of them were not the greatest footage, so I had to try and get the best out of it I could. But I think I did a reasonable job. You lot will tell me anyway. But travelling on a day like today, it's worthwhile. You get to see the scenery, I get to drive in nice weather, and we're all happy. Okay, just flicked the camera on because we've come right up to the head of the estuary here, and I can't even pronounce the name. Cahersiveen, Cahersiveen. Anyway, very nice road, very good track. Just taking my time, had to change the battery on the camera. Had a nice sandwich for lunch. But this coast is absolutely stunning. And if you've got the weather, I don't think you really could have a more scenic holiday. And I am well travelled. The difference between places like this and Morocco is just the colours. And water, of course. High in the Atlas Mountains, it was absolutely stunning, but a totally different type of stunning. The remoteness, the quietness, no people, very barren land though. And I went up there in the winter when everything should have been, would have thought it would have been green, but there's nothing growing up there. But it is coming up between 3,000 and 4,000 meters on some of the high altitude tracks that I travelled. The highest I think I'm going here is somewhere in the region of no more than 1,000 meters. Okay, we just climbed up, I don't know, about 500-600 meters. It's a lovely view up here. The road again is excellent. A bit of inland scenery here. I'm trying to keep my foot reasonably down because this is a main road and there's a lot of traffic behind me. Well, there's not that much traffic looking in the mirror. That's because I've kept my foot down not to slow anyone up. Well, we just came through the hills here and now we're descending down to the water again. Lovely hotel back there and some very nice views, but the weather is changing again. It did say it was going to be overcast and exceedingly windy, and the wind has been knocking us about a bit. That's why I keep the speed down a little bit when I hit some of these coastal areas, as you can suddenly get a surge of wind and you can feel it on the vehicle. And you'll most probably notice on the film footage as well, occasionally you get a slight blur from the camera where the seam of the 360 camera joins. I noticed it when I downloaded all the information, and the reason for that is the wind is blowing so hard that it's taking the cable from the microphone and slightly blowing it so it's outside of the seam of the camera. That's how heavy the wind is. Lovely fishing harbour down to the left. And looking at the map here now, I think I have finished all the hill climbing and I'm just going to be running along this coast now, all the way up the top of this estuary. on the N70, and then I will be crossing over to the other side, and on the other side there I'm getting a warning on the GPS that we've got a maximum height of 1.7 meters, so I'm going to have to keep a closer eye on that. I don't know where that would be. I haven't seen any notifications on that, so I will keep a good eye out for bridges. I think that might be an old message from the original GPS that I've got in here. I need to update it at some point and put something more modern in with up-to-date maps. I use the phone for all data really, but a very beautiful spot, and you can see all the surf up there at the far end. So we're going all the way up to Cahersiveen, and then we're swinging across that other peninsula. Yeah, just keep in, our mirrors will get very close. Well, if he came from that direction, there is no restriction on 1.8 meter, because he looked a bit taller than me. But the road has got very narrow again, and I can't afford to lose the rest of my mirror. I imagine they have extended the height of this. This could be the bridge. Oh, lovely waterfall. I will make sure that I pan the camera around for you on that. Yield. I love some of these signs. Yield. I'll have to get my sword out. Lovely old bridge. I've always wanted a house, really, in northern Spain, Portugal, somewhere that's a bit warmer, but with a stream running through it. I've always wanted to do water turbine for creating power alongside solar, and if you've got a property like that, there is no reason you can't be completely off-grid, because there is washing machine drums turbines now which people have made all over the world, and if you stick into Google washing machine drum turbine or generator, you'll find some videos that people have done with Fischl Parkle washing machines. And also, matter of fact, there's a lot of traffic, so I'm going to duck in here to let them all go by, and also have a quick scan around at that view. It is absolutely stunning. There's a lot of traffic behind me, you can imagine, on these corners and everything. I have to go slow, otherwise my fridge will fly open, and all my cupboards fly open, so I have to take it reasonably easy on the windy roads. I do use bungee straps, by the way, to, you know, I don't trust the cupboard catches on campers. You know, they are built well, but when you do exceedingly large amounts of mileage that I do, I find it's best to have literally an arsenal of bungee straps on board. You can't get enough of duct tape and bungee straps. I think the two commodities that should be part of any camper kit. Cable ties, good quality silicone, bungee straps, and lots of bits of wire, electrical wire. As you saw, because we were overheating earlier, we had to build something to get the cooling fans on because of a problem. I will get the problem addressed, but I just prefer to do it in my workshop rather than trying to solve something on the side of the road. But that is a cracking view, and I can't spend too much time looking at it because I have to focus on the road, but at least I get the replay. It's a pity I haven't got the weather that I had the other day, because that is a beautiful piece of coastline. What time are we now? We're 2:13. 3 hours time, or just under 3 hours. I've got a live stream to help customers with their questions. And I've also got to thank someone for yesterday. I had a €22 donation of some chap just as I ended the stream. So I never got the opportunity to thank him, and I thought that was highly rude. But it popped up within the last 30 seconds or so of the stream, and I just didn't catch it in time. So I have sent a chat message to him on his channel to thank him, just in case he was disgusted that he gave someone €22 and he never got any thanks. But that was just because I had to finish at 6:30 last night, because I had to get ready for a class that I attend called Doc Rock, and that teaches me how to become a better videographer and also a better speaker for you lot, because this is not my natural forte, shall we say. I have had to teach myself how to be able to speak when the camera's on, but there's no one here. It looks like I'm barking mad to other people because I'm just speaking to myself, and they look in the vehicle and go, he's on his own. But apart from being barking mad, because to do this on your own, it's a very solitary life. Just thought I'd turn the camera on for you as we're going through a village, so you can have a look at how clean they are. Fuel has shot up a little bit to about 180, as you can see, 184 there, and I don't know if that's because his lordship is playing with the market again, and the shit's kicking off, or it's because we're in such a remote location, and of course you've got the transportation for the fuel and everything. But this would have been a nice place to stop. A couple of pubs, very nice village, and yet again their flags are flying. Wasn't too sure the name of this village. Glenby. So we've most probably got 14-15 kilometers to go until we do a hard left, and then we go down the other side of the peninsula, heading towards Dingle. And it's a shame I'm not there on a Friday or Saturday night, because I imagine, as they say, I would have had the crack. But a Sunday night's good enough for an old fella like me. I can sup a couple, as long as I can get parking at a reasonable price. I don't mind paying, it's not that I'm tight. It's just, €40 to park for the night. That's €2 an hour. Well, more than that. €4 an hour just to sleep. And I think that's, it's not like I require any electricity. I don't require any water. It'd be nice to drop off the rubbish at some point, because I've got 2 bin bags in here at the moment. Bins are difficult to find in Ireland. In Spain there's village bins everywhere. In Portugal exactly the same, and you can just put your trash into these bins. Of course there's recycling places as well, but when you're in a camper and I generate a fair bit of waste. I try to do it correctly where I can, but it's not always easy, and especially here in Ireland. I've turned it on because I noticed there's a couple of large rivers that I've just gone by, and I couldn't get the camera switched on for you early enough, but there was a load of people fly fishing, and one had something on which I would have loved to have seen. But there are some beautiful rivers running through Ireland, and I imagine the trout and salmon fishing is excellent. Now, I've already had a sandwich, but I would have liked a Sunday lunch. But there we go. Another occasion missed. But I've got to make the most of this weather where I can. That's one of the... Well, I've had about 2 or 3 people overtake on this ring of Kerry. It's a dangerous occupation. But they're locals, and it's up to them. And we got a bit of drizzling rain now, and if it comes down hard, I am going to have to get the camera in, because I'm not risking losing a camera because of heavy downpours. We just arrived in Kilorgin, I think it's pronounced. I can't look at the map detailed, but medium-sized town. Quite a few pubs. Also being passed a Lidl's, which looks quite a large one. During the week, this looks like a nice place to visit. But as it's Sunday, most of the shops are shut. Now, I'm very surprised that wind turbine isn't going, because it's blowing a hoolie out there. The camera on quickly so you can have a look down there. It's on the wrong side really for the camera, but a stunning river running down to the ocean. I expect there's plenty of good fishing on that. It is one of my hobbies, but I haven't got my fishing stuff on the van. Okay, although it's not a scenic spot, I would tell you some information about this road running down to Dingle. As you could see, people overtaking coming down. It's quite narrow, and it's, you know, no problems at all. The road's good, everything else a little bit bumpier than normal. But it's worth going slower down this bit, for the simple reason being is the narrowness in the road. If any, you know, larger vehicles are coming down, we've already had a couple of near misses on the mirror, shall we say. And some of the signs are very close to the road, and I've noticed I've been getting close to them when moving over for traffic. So it's definitely worth just taking your time and meandering down here nice and slowly. Lovely little bit of coastal road this, and a lovely breeze coming off, nice and cool now, not like the other day.
You're listening to the How to Repair radio show. Weren't the strings on that last track just brilliant?
There's a couple of roads up there to the right, looking at the map system, which I'm pretty much sure that I'm not allowed to take because they have a maximum length restriction of 7.5 meters, and I exceed that by, okay, I haven't got the motorbike on at the moment, so I would imagine I am somewhere in the region of 8.2, 8.3. So I definitely won't be able to take that. It's meant to be a very stunning road, but I won't be able to go up it. So I should have bought the motorbike, but this washing machine business comes first. So I might have to be transporting a few machines on the back down to my workshop in Wales, and that's why I didn't bring the motorbike. I left it down in Portugal. For those of you who don't know, you'll find a lot of the bike videos on the Spanish playlist and also the Moroccan playlist. I did go to some blooming stupid locations. I actually went to the Algerian border. I think that was the craziest one, when I decided I was someone better than I am, and I thought I could ride out across the Sahara Desert, not knowing that a sandstorm was about to kick in, and I got stuck out there for a few hours. But you've always got a learning curve, as they say. It'll be interesting to look at this sign as we go past here. The junction's meant to be coming up in a minute. What the restrictions are. I can't see any of the signs because they are all flat, but it definitely doesn't look like somewhere that I need to be traipsing up. Anyway, we've got 26 minutes to Dingle. It's a lovely coastal road. A little bit of a squeeze in some areas, but nothing I can't handle. And there's always a possibility that I can park outside of town and maybe get a local taxi in. So that'll be food for thought. Okay, we've got a dog that's a bit stupid. Oh, this is the big beach. Inch Strand. Yeah, why not? What time have we got? 15:07. I might take a quick look down here. Oh no, I'm not going to, because it's sand. And this vehicle does not perform well on sand, but I'll give you a good look at it. And the car park was already full. And I've got nowhere that really I can pull in anywhere here. I am too long, but I can dip in there behind there. So that will allow me to have a look around for 5 minutes. Okay, this is Inch Sand, and I had to drive up a little bit away from the road because there was no way that this old rig could get down there. A lot of people park on the beach, and it is a stunning beach, but at my weight I've learnt my lessons from being in the desert. Avoid sand like the plague. It's blowing a hoolie, so I hope the microphone's working okay. I've been doing 360 recording all the way round from Sneg. Oh, I forget the name. I'll put it on the actual video, on the main video. And I'm heading around the coast to Dingle, which is somewhere down there. There's a few mountain passes going over here, but because I'm over 8 meters in length, you're not allowed up there. So I have to miss out on them. But I will flick the camera around for you and have a look at that for a beach. But it is blowing a bloody hoolie. But it's definitely blowing a hoolie. It's been rocking the van all day. Anyway, we're going to push on and see if we can find somewhere around Dingle. I'll just show you where the van is. Up the top there, I managed to squeeze in. By the way, for anyone that's driving this road, it is very narrow in places. I managed to get a little bit of video footage, but this I believe this is a bit funny with regards parking for long periods, so I haven't stayed long. It's not really suited to this rig, and once you get up into these areas, tourism starts to take over and they want to charge for absolutely everything. Anyway, you'll be able to see behind. Stunning part. I might have a look on the way back tomorrow, or I might be coming straight down this road if I can't find a good park up for this evening. I'm not going to pay £40 a night. That is absolutely crazy. I really resent these places that charge that much. They are killing tourism, really. Although this is, you know, a place that attracts a lot of people because of Dingle's meant to be one of the best places to go out for the night. It's meant to have a lot of live music, a lot of great bars which suit me, but I'm not going to pay €40 just to go out for a couple of pints in the evening. I would prefer to spend a little bit longer up at the next place where I've been invited to visit. He's a gentleman that's 70 odd years of age. He's still out there servicing washing machines today. He did tell me on the telephone he only does 2 service calls a day, and I think that's because that's what he chooses to do. But to be honest, looking at the population for the areas that I've driven, it could take you an hour to get to each customer's driving, so you could spend 3 to 4 hours of the day just driving to different people's houses to fix their machines, and the roads aren't fast. Anyway, I will leave you with this stunning bit of coastline and shut up for a change. we've got an hour and 25 minutes till the show. Jamil's running it today. He's not brilliant with A-cam, he's learning. He's not as good as Burkeye, but he is covering me on the weekends, so I can do this for you in vertical and horizontal, meaning shorts and the long form, because a lot of people do watch the show on mobile and some watch it on computers, so it is good to have it going out to the two different aspect ratios. And later we will be testing streaming to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and maybe something else. Oh, sorry, not Twitter, X. But as I said, this weather is changing, and I might have to bring the camera in shortly because I am using a microphone to connect to it. I lose the water integrity, so it doesn't become 100% waterproof because of that connection with the microphone. So if the clouds get really thick and the rain comes down heavy, it's all coming in. But we're only 10 kilometers away from Dingle, so apart from recording the town, and I might be able to do that on my mobile or the Osmo camera. All depends if I get parking for the night, because I'm definitely not going to pay an extortionate figure for it. Okay, I think that's Dingle right ahead of us, because it does say 2.3 kilometers away. And to be honest, I'm exceedingly tired driving on these roads. The focus that you need to have constantly on, driving a vehicle is a lot harder than you think sometimes. I've been driving about 3.5 to 4 hours today. We're coming up to 5 o'clock. I've had an emergency repair to do, which took another hour. So it does take its toll on you. It's not as easy as you think. Driving 7-8 hours down the motorway, do that in my sleep. But driving on these roads is exceedingly hard work. Okay, the battery died as I was coming into Dingle, but I just want to explain to everyone what I did. I did have a look at some car parks in Dingle, but it was very hard for me to find any free parking whatsoever. There was a paid park for night, which has all the facilities, but when I don't need anything, I didn't need water, I didn't need to get rid of grey water because I only emptied a few days ago. It was a bit expensive to spend €40 per night just to actually have a night out in Dingle. So what I did was come up to this Páidí O'Shea, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, bar, and I'll put a link on the video as well for you. Fantastic pub. Real, they've got a lot of history on the wall. Famous people like Tom Cruise and other celebrities have been here. There's parking in this car park for 30 to 40 campers, and it only actually costs €1.50 on the ring bus from here to get into Dingle. And if you do want a late night out, you can get a taxi back for about €20. Now, if you go into the Páidí O'Shea's bar, there is a list of the local guys that do these taxi runs up here. So you'll be able to jot down the telephone numbers, and if you do have a night out in Dingle, you'll then be able to get home at 1 o'clock in the morning or whatever. Beautiful spot, overlooking the ocean. I can highly recommend the food here. Great menu, and also it's a very quiet spot at night. There is no facilities, it's only parking, but it is behind the church, and literally the pub is right behind me there, and it's a good pint, I can assure you. I did sample the Beamish, I did sample the Guinness, and maybe, just maybe, I had one too many.